The other thing we want to talk about is the the rise of confusion, and this is going to be an ongoing subject, and it's a very important one, because what is happening is we are in an age where we are literally being bombarded with information and updates all the time, like never before. So interestingly, with all this information, making sense of it in a way which is helpful to a person and his life and his family and the society, is one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing. And that is why it's really important to understand the difference between information, knowledge and wisdom. And even within information now, there's a lot of junk information. So to be able to identify some information which is completely useless versus useful information, and then making sense of that into knowledge and wisdom is the way forward. Now, as AI is evolving, the landscape becomes more confusing, because now, as we've seen, it is very rapidly, if you're watching something, if you're watching a video, you don't even know if it is real, and it is getting to the difference between reality, and fiction is getting blurred, right? So if you see somebody that and he's having a conversation, we don't know if he's actually said that. And increasingly it is becoming of such high quality that it's impossible for a regular person to know whether this guy actually said it or not.
In a few months, in a few years, it would become so realistic.
It's become so realistic, it's impossible for you to say.
Differentiate.
Exactly, and this will keep getting better.
And you would be cooked.
Yeah, and a lot of people would be cooked. So the thing is, one is, what do we do about this problem? And the second thing is, with AI, because it's basically a large language model, so it's got this, it's getting better at taking a lot of information and, giving you a very logical summary of it, right? And it's increasingly doing it in a way which appears to be very credible, right? So now,
very logical.
And very logical. So unless, somebody already knows the subject, it's impossible for another person to tell that if this is wrong, so it presents things in a way which is very logical and gives you a lot of references.
Structured.
Now, who would go and check those references? And so the amount of trust that people have started putting in AI, is something which is worrying.
And
because all of us are going in that direction, because 9 out of 10 times or 8 out of 10 times it'll give you answers that are perfectly brilliant and very credible. And so it begins to build that trust of yours. So you say, okay, AI is telling me this, this is credible, and it is giving me all the sources of information. So unless you know a certain subject by yourself, you have to just rely on AI. And so that's why I think it's becoming very important to.
And since AI is giving you answers that at first sight they might look like they're completely matching with reality, you tend to forget that the written code of the AI. Let's take the example of any kind of AI. They need a criteria for its truthfulness.
Yes.
If we're going to talk about, for example, mathematics, right? If you ask AI a question, what is 1 plus 1, it will give you the answer, it's equals to 2. This is something that you can objectively verify. For example, this is one object and this is another object. These are two objects, right? This makes sense. 1 and 1 is equals to 2. 1 plus 1 equals to 2 objects. And there is another branch of truthfulness, which is historical knowledge. Historical knowledge is a little bit tricky because it has to be authenticated and verified. If it's not authenticated and verified, then it can be either true, or some of it can be true, or some of it can be false. And you also have to think about how can we relate historical knowledge with what is going on today in the real world. So if you can connect these dots and you can understand, okay, this I can use this knowledge for this purpose, I think that's where knowledge starts becoming wisdom. Balal.
Yeah, no, you're right, and the fact that it's not just historical. I mean, even if there's an incident which happened just last week or the day before, it depends on where that information is coming from. So you have a number of different versions of the same event.
Yeah.
So depending on who's reporting it, so you will find very few people, who will report it objectively, even without AI, even before AI. But you tend to find a slant of bias or favoritism in terms of people who are reporting an event. So an event of destruction of a certain place, somebody who likes it, he would report it in a different way. Somebody who does not like it will report it in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so,
I mean, as long as the more the population of the world has knowledge about a certain thing, that's something really good as a first step, let's say.
yes,
As a
yes,
first step.
yeah.
Because as you can see, an average civilian, he doesn't have the power to change what is going on in the upper echelons of the economic atmosphere or the political atmosphere.
I think going back to the the age of confusion. Now the question is, how do you get out of this confusion? So I think it is important to, whatever subject we're talking about, right? So for example, we're talking about mathematics or geography or biology or science. We've got to establish what are the fundamentals of, what are the agreed fundamentals of mathematics, and keep that, for example, as a base. And then it's possible to, double check or verify things from there, similarly science and biology and everything
Absolutely,
else.
yes.
And in terms of humanity, in terms of, the meaning of purpose of life, it's obviously religion, and that is Islam. So
Yes.
we are extremely blessed that, despite, living at a time of confusion,
Yeah.
it is a great blessing of Allah that we have the word of Allah, the
Yes.
Creator,
Yes.
His own word.
His own
we have it fully preserved, and it is available with us. So it's really, really important for us.
And it's not only available with us, it's available for everyone.
It's available for everybody.
Like you just open Google, you go to Quran.com and there it is.
Yes, and so that is why I think it's incredibly important for us as Muslims and for the entire humanity to look at, to read the Quran as a baseline, as a base reference for, what is the purpose of life, what is this world all about, the morality side, the right and wrong
What is going
side.
on in Israel and
Palestine, because
what's happening in the world?
Exactly. AI will keep getting smarter and smarter at driving certain narratives. That has happened in the past. It will happen now with more force. It will be more convincing. For certain people or certain elements to drive the narratives that they want.
Grok 3 has increased, for example, increasingly, portraying a certain narrative more than it actually should. And it seems like it's showing both sides.
Exactly.
It's at first when you read it, but if you go to the details, it's of course like you taking you to another direction subconsciously in your
No, what you've mentioned is wonderful, because the way deception is done, or the way narratives are pushed, or the way wrong things are pushed, is exactly that. There's a lot of stuff that they say right, which is correct, which is truthful, and they sort of convince you that they're giving you the right side of the story, and then they will just plant a bit of false information in there, or sort of a certain spin where they try to take you into a different direction. So gaining your trust is the first part.
Yes.
Whenever whoever wants to convince you.
And they've been doing this for years.
They've been doing this for years, and now with the help of AI, it's going to get more and more powerful. So that's why it's important for us to increase our level of awareness.
Yes.
And to be critical and to discuss with each other
Absolutely, yes.
in terms of what is going on, and to try to establish what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah. Because if you do not challenge as a human being, this is what I think. If you do not challenge every concept that you have learned so far in your life critically, this is for everyone. This is just general advice. If you are not able to challenge it critically for your own self, that means you have failed in the first step, of your own progress as a human being towards knowing something.
Good. Thank you so much. So we'll call it a day.